Hi guys, how's it going? Today's video is about trying to get into construction. So whether you're a young person, a 16, 17, 18 year old, you may be elder, you may be into your mid-20s, you might be 40, you might be looking into a new career, but this is my advice on how you get into construction in the UK at the moment, how you get a job, how you get your foot in the door basically. So what I'm going to do now, I want to explain to you a few tips of how to get in, and it's proven and it works. Okay, so just a background with myself. I'm 54 years old. Since the age of 16 I was an apprentice carpenter on site. I did that, completed that, and then I was a carpenter till 42, doing all manner of things, you name it, doing exhibition work, shuttering, building work, pub fit outs, the whole range, kitchen fitting. I was doing kitchen fitting for years, price work, doors, skirting, architrave, did that for years and years on a price. Then I got slightly disinterested in all that. It's really hard work, to be fair, as a carpenter, and I then decided to pursue a career as a lecturer. So I started off, now I think I was 38, 39, 40, around that age. I went into local colleges, did some voluntary work there, which gave me the interest to sort of start getting into carpentry construction teaching. And then I progressed through to getting a full degree in education, a Cert Ed. So I'd had a background of construction, then teaching. And then a few years ago, I think it was 2022, I came out of teaching in colleges. I taught in a Young Offenders Institute for 2.5, 3 years. I've taught in several colleges. I ended up being a curriculum leader at one point, and then I got into site management, which is what I do now. So I've covered the broad spectrum. I've covered a broad spectrum of construction, and this is how I've found how you guys can get your foot in the door in construction. Okay, so a lot of parents at this time of year will be wondering how they get their son or daughter into a construction career. Usually they're going through the route of, unless you're going to university or something, and if you know exactly what you want to do, say if you want to be an architect and you're doing that architect's degree, that's something totally different. What I'm talking about is more lower level, if you like, more sort of getting your foot in the door as a tradesman. Just noticed I've got a bit of stuff on my arm. So it's lower level. Now the question is, how do you get them in? I'm sure you're all trying, you're emailing companies, you're asking for apprenticeships, you're trying your hardest, your son, daughter's trying the hardest to get that job. It could be a carpenter, a plumber, or a painter or something, and they're just getting nowhere. And unfortunately, the way it's structured, construction is structured, it's very, very difficult. The government throw loads and loads of funding. Every year they throw millions and millions and millions to the wrong places. They don't put it where it needs to go. They throw it to all these sort of training agencies and these outlets that are just basically bums on seats. They're taking the money. They're doing really, really poor training for these youngsters. The youngsters get bored, they lose interest, and they don't actually get onto site, they don't experience site. So before they've even got anywhere near a trowel or a chisel or a hammer, they've quit, they've given it up. I've heard that story so many times. Even in your colleges, I've seen the colleges, and they're sort of set in the past a little bit, really, how the colleges do it with their training and preparing them to get jobs. But what I learnt over the years was this: you need to look at who actually does the work. Okay, who does the work? Now, I'm not sure it works in other countries, but in the UK, how it generally works is a client will have a job, and whether it's a huge company or a medium-sized company or a smaller contractor, so a client will offer the job to one of these three: a contractor, a company, or a building firm. They then tender for that job, they win the job, and then what they did, they'll shove managers in place, site managers in place, and that company then employ a tier of subcontracts down the line. So their carpentry package, for argument's sake, which could be all the doors, all the skirting, all the arc drive, that will be then passed to a carpenter subcontractor. Normally this guy is the type of guy who drives around in a Range Rover all day and he's got his coffee. Speaking of coffee, got my coffee just there. So he's got his coffee, he's on his Range Rover, he's on his phone, he's on his laptop. He'll employ another firm to do the work. That firm then usually employs his guys down there. So it's gone through a system before it even gets to the guy who's doing the work. That's usually sort of how construction is in this country. Now that's not saying it's the same as carpentry, gotta get carpentry out of my head. That's not the same as jobs for small one-man band type guys who are sort of taking on doing private work or housing work or little extensions. You know, you see all them, these are the guys you're splattered all over on Facebook. These are the guys who, the chippies who have got no PPE on, or they're using their little power tools and they're doing daft little videos of something that's really straightforward, but they think they're recreating the wheel. You know, that's not how it is. In site work and construction is entirely different. It's usually gone down a system of people before the people, getting round to the point where I'm saying, just lost track of, the people who actually do the work. So it's the people who do the work, they're the ones you need to approach, okay? So these guys who do the work, remember the ones near the bottom, I'm not saying they're any less than these people who've filtered it down, but these are the skilled tradesmen, the ones, well, sort of skilled nowadays. These are the ones who are doing the work. This is the person you've got to contact. Okay, so how do you do that then? How do I contact that person? I've found the best way to do it is to, in your local area, put in whatever trade you want. So sit your son down or your daughter down, get them with a pad and a piece of paper, sit them down, get the laptop, fire up the laptop and put in a thing called check a trade. So put check a trade in, and then in there type in what you want to do, or what your young 17, 18-year-old wants to do. I'm going to use carpentry because that's my field of knowledge. If he wants to be a carpenter, put in carpentry. Put down that you want a door fitting or you want a kitchen fitting or something. If you type that in and then hit local carpenters in your area, you will now be given a list of, could be huge. For a small area like this, I'm working in Oxford, a small area in Oxford. Now, if I was to type that in now, I'm pretty sure I'll come up with about 50 or 60 carpenters. Now, these carpenters will also have their phone number. So you've now got a database of the carpenter's name and his phone number. So what you need to do, you can either photocopy them, print screen them, print them off, and start with a list and have a list going down there of, if you work on maybe 10 names or 15 names or 20 names, you've now got your direct route to who is doing the work, okay? Then what you need to do, and I've explained this and showed this to so many youngsters and they've all got jobs from it, this method I'm going to tell you, if you actually put the effort in and follow it up, they all end up with jobs. Now, so you've got this list of phone numbers. So the next thing is, what do I say to them? I'm going to phone this completely random carpenter. What am I going to say to him? So you build yourself a little pitch. You start off with your name. So you can drop your name down there. So you say, hello there, my name is. So you've told him your name, right? There's also a good time and a bad time to speak to these people. I'll come on to that in a second. So you need to write down your pitch. So you need your name, and then you need to get your point in straight away. You've got about 3 seconds before he's going to put the phone down, or she's going to put the phone down. So your name, and what I've told young lads to do in the colleges I've worked at, and it's worked quite well, is just give them a very brief explanation of, my name is Justin or my name is Harry and I would like to experience doing some carpentry work. okay? I was wondering if I could spend a day with you, working with you, and this is the hook. This is the hook right here now. You're offering to do it for free. You're going to do it for nothing. Now, when I've said that to these students in the classroom, God, they just start saying, oh, I ain't working for nothing. I'm not working for nothing. Now, these are the same guys who are paying £40 an hour to have a lesson, a driving lesson. So they're more than happy to spend £40 an hour to learn to drive, but they don't want to do it for nothing to learn how to be a carpenter or a plumber or a plasterer or electrician or a floor layer. There's so many trades out there. So you're offering yourself to go and help them for free, for one day, just one day. You're offering one day for free. And then you come out with the thing that I'm doing college 3 or 4 days a week. I've got a Tuesday afternoon. I've got a day free in that week. Now, everybody in college usually has a day free. That's the day you go and do it. So this person that you phoned up now, you've told them what your name is, you've told them what you want to do, and you've offered your services for free. Okay, so then what they're going to do is they might say, oh, hang on a minute, I'm fitting a kitchen that next Tuesday. I could do with a hand. If I get somebody to come and help me for free and he lives in the area, that's brilliant. They could then say, I'm come and help me next Tuesday. Okay. They could also say, there's a varying answers they come out with. They could say, I'm not interested, I don't employ anybody, stuff like that, and we've got an answer for that as well. They could say that. They could say something like, I can't take anybody on, I can't pay people. And you say, well, I don't want paying anyway, I just want some experience. So straight away, it sounds less stressful, because these big companies, they might take on 1 or 2 apprentices a year. They're not taking on many apprentices at all, and you've got to be really lucky, or usually you've got to know somebody who knows somebody to get in, so you've got no chance if you don't know anybody. So this is the best route to get in. Now, I've found that if you put 10 names down, 1 or 2 of those names will get back to you. Okay, they will eventually get back to you. And what you do is, as well, when you finish the call, you send them a quick text to say, thanks for the conversation, Justin. Or thanks for spending time chatting to me. I really appreciate Justin. Now, what that does, a week or 2 later, or 3 weeks later, when they're thinking, shit, I've got nobody to help me carry them doors off site. Hang on a minute, somebody offered to help me for a day. And the amount of people that will call you back is unreal. So always send a little text at the end. So you're phoning somebody up on Check a Trade. You're doing a little pitch of a 15-second. Now, years and years ago, I'm aware this video is going into 10 minutes now, so I'm trying to cut it down. But when I was 21, I did door-to-door selling. I used to knock on doors, and we would do a lot of door-to-door selling. And I found that you have an impulse curve when you're selling anything. From the time somebody answers the phone or when you've knocked the door, they'll listen to you for a few seconds, and then their interest starts dropping. A bit like an algorithm on a YouTube video. Now, what you need to do is you need to remember this. So you've got, from that first few seconds, this is where you're going to make the sale or close the sale, if you like, or where you're going to get them to say, yeah, I've got some work to do. So this is why you need just your name, a few explanation of what you want to do, and explain your work for free for that day. Okay. A lot of these contractors, they'll get scared because of insurances and, taking people on and stuff like that. So it's always good to add in there that you've got your own PPE, you've got hard hats, you've got a boots, got boots, hard hat, and viz jacket, and you might want to say you've got a CSCS card. That's another thing you need to really look at, getting a CSCS card. I can cover that later. But if you've told them these things, that you're quite safe, you've got some PPE, you want to work a day for free, and all you want to do is shadow them and learn off them, they usually get back to you. Or they'll speak to people and they'll say, oh, so-and-so phoned me, and they'll pass your name on, they'll pass your phone number on. They've still got your phone number because you text them a number as well. So I've found that that's the best way. Now, you're not actually working for free, because there's no way somebody's going to meet you in the, you're going to meet somewhere at a McDonald's, they're probably going to pick you up, or you could make your own way there or whatever. There's no way, if you've done a day for these guys who are sort of subbies, They're not going to shove 20 quid in your hand. They're not going to give you something. At the end of the day, they'll give you something. I've spoke to trainees who they've been given tools, or they've, you know, a lot of guys have got some old tools in the van they never use. They give them a little bit of a box and they give them a few tools, because generally everybody in construction generally wants to help youngsters coming through. So that's what they do. So they are actually paying you. Now, this is another thing. What they've done then, they've had a taste of the apple. They're going to want you to do it again. So they'll say, oh, are you free next week? Then you're getting your foot in the door, because they're then picking you up next week. They've got to know you a bit. They've had a bit of banter with you. You've gone in a cafe with them or something, you know, and they felt comfortable around you. They're going to use you the following week. Before you know it, they're saying to you, oh, look, can you do any other days for me? That's when you need to then go into discussing how much you're going to get paid. Now, that's totally up to you guys, what you choose of what your rate's going to be. But my advice is, do not go in too expensive, because they won't use you much. So if you used to say to somebody, oh, I want, let's say minimum wage, £7 an hour. I want, say, £45, £50 a day. Right, now you're a 17, 18-year-old. That guy, to pay you 50 quid is, you know, it's a lot of money, really. And remember, you need the experience. You're zapping off this guy's experience, his knowledge. He will even, I've seen so many trainees who've been took on, given a little bit of work, you know, and they'll start showing them how to do a bit of skirting board. It's basic, it's simple skirting board. They'll get them doing the long lengths. Now that way you're making them money, because they're on a price, you're earning the money. They might pay you then, but you need to learn how to do it first. So my advice to you guys is, check a trade, phone up the guy, give them a quick pitch, and in that pitch you name what you want to do, some experience. Most importantly, you're going to work for free. And then always text them your number, so they've got a little memory of it. And I guarantee, if you phone 10 different phone numbers or 20, you're going to get one or two that's going to get back to you. Okay, so this is my advice for how you guys can get into construction. Once you've had experience, a couple of things, you can put stuff onto your CV. Your CV is now looking a lot more appealing to companies if you are trying to go down the route of getting a proper job. These are not proper jobs. This is just getting experience with guys, but it starts you on a path of getting the proper job. You suddenly know what you're talking about. When you're going for the interview, you're talking about, I've been doing internal scribes on miters, external scribes on miters. I've been doing, we've been putting some paneling on. I've been using his Pasload nail gun. I was using his saw. You're starting to sound like you're a good candidate, but it all starts with getting your foot in the door. So let me know how you get on. Anybody who tries it, let me know how you get on. Put some comments in the description. Try it, give it a go. You've got nothing to lose. And rather than sitting at home playing on your PlayStation, get phoning a couple of numbers and just see how you get on. Okay, guys? Okay, guys, I forgot to mention the good time and the bad time to phone them. Pretty obvious, really. Most of these small-time builders or carpenters or plumbers or whatever, they're going to be busy between 7 in the morning and 10 at 11 o'clock. They're going to be rushed off their feet. They're going to be fetching materials, speaking to clients, at the merchants. They'll be starting the job. They ain't got time to talk. Do not phone them then. The best time to phone people usually is about 3 o'clock. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, around about 3 o'clock is the best time, because by then they've done what they needed to do, they've finished, they've usually got everything sorted by then, and they've got a bit of time in the afternoon. So I forgot to add this, I'm just bolting this on at the end. Phone them, in my opinion, at 3 o'clock. Also, there's a good day to phone them, and that's Friday. Friday's the magical day when they might be in the pub or they might be finished for the weekend. You know, they love Fridays. So be phoning them Friday, 2 o'clock, something like that. They know what they've got to do the following week then. So Friday's a great time to call them. So turn up, sit there, get your list, phone them on a Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Now, If they're in the pub, they might not answer, but you might catch them on the way to the pub. So that's the best time. Do not phone them at early morning, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.